I've had the PowKiddy X55 for a few weeks now. I've made an impressions video and now I give more thoughts about it. Is this 5,000 peso retro handheld worth it? Let's find out. For the device itself, ergonomically, it is good. Growing up with the PlayStation, the stacked shoulder buttons will forever be my preference over inline ones. This is a much more comfortable device to play than a bare PS Vita or a bare Nintendo Switch thanks to the bumps at the back. Getting cases with grips for Vita or Switch evens out the playing field. As good as it is ergonomically, the build may leave a lot to be desired. While the black model is already a revision over the blue, the device being made of plastic feels a little bit meh or middle of the road. The buttons, as discussed before, are simply not great. Shoulder buttons as well as the function buttons are clicky. Between my impressions video and this review, the unwanted diagonals seems to have become less prevalent. You can actually see Bomberman here not doing any unwanted maneuvers. Nonetheless, the unwanted diagonals does appear here and there every now and then. Minor things I would like to praise are the Wi-Fi capability. You may think Wi-Fi is not really needed on retro handhelds, but Wi-Fi adds Netplay, ability to update using the device itself, Samba, image scraping, and retro achievement among others. The latter may add replayability for some people, myself included. Where I think the PowKiddy X55 shines is the screen, the battery, the software, and the performance. Let's go through each of them. The big 720p screen is great, and the 16:9 aspect ratio means PSP plays well here. You may think that 16:9 will yield big black bars when playing 4:3 games, but JELOS pre-configures each system with ideal settings to maximize the space of the screen. The battery is great. Playing GBA games nets me about 6 hours, PS1 about 5, Dreamcast PSP gets about 4. Battery drain on sleep is typically about 1 to 2% per hour, which is honestly not bad. The charging time is relatively good as well as it can fast charge. Please note that Type-C to Type-C charging does not and will not work. Get a fast charger that uses Type-A to Type-C connection. PowKiddy was kind enough to release their source code for X55, hence the JELOS team fully supports the device. The software experience is a breeze. For my case, I bought the X55 with 2 SD cards that came preloaded with an earlier build of JELOS and a bunch of games. So out of the box, it is a relatively simple plug-and-play experience as shown on my impressions video. I have a bit of trust issues with the included SD cards, so I got my own card, flashed the latest JELOS build, and curated my own list of ROMs. Loading games is simply copy-pasting your ROMs to the SD card. Though keep in mind, you may need to add some BIOS for some systems here and there, but the setup has generally been painless. Once you boot up the device, it is very user-friendly. I suggest to scrape images for your games as it makes the scrolling experience much more aesthetically pleasing. Going into performance, generally, the stock configuration should work about 90% of the time, and this is something worth praising JELOS and PowKiddy for. Let's start testing with the higher and more recent system. I added a couple of PSP games here. For 2D, platform, or lighter games, the X55 can play them at the stock configuration, which are surprisingly already upscaled. Here, let's take a look at Slug XX and Bomberman. For more 3D-oriented games, you may need to lower the resolution to 1x and or enable frame skip. AC Bloodline is a rare instance of a 3D game capable of upscaling of an auto 1:1. For the most part, Dreamcast plays fine, but some games like Toy Story has some visual anomalies that you may or may not find intrusive. For the Nintendo DS, the pre-configuration here is actually very intuitive. You use the R2 and L2 to switch screens, and you use the right analog stick as a cursor and R3 to click. Performance is good with some dropped frames here and there. D-pad-centric DS games should be fine. For systems older than PS1, I found the PowKiddy X55 excellent. As with everything, the PowKiddy X55 is not perfect and there are a few flaws. Aside from the already mentioned middle-of-the-road build, connecting two Bluetooth devices is a major hassle. Enabling Bluetooth and pressing pairing a device, X55 tries to pair with every Bluetooth-enabled device. For my case, it keeps trying to connect to my Mi Box, my speaker, and my TV. Connecting one Bluetooth controller is fine. Trying to connect two for multiplayer is a major hassle. Next would be the Netplay. I can't seem to make Netplay work. I don't know why, but neither the Loki Zero or the X55 can't seem to retain saving configurations on local play, and they both revert back to host when you exit the options. Both are using the same build date, but both share the same issue. I have reported this to JELOS, but this is where my third gripe comes in. As great as JELOS is, we have to remember these folks are not PowKiddy employees. These are enthusiasts with a bit more know-how than us. What I'm trying to say is, if you find bugs, don't expect to report it to them and make it their priority to fix. If you find a bug, you can't send logs. Wait for them to find it and fix it, or fix it yourself. I had an issue with the GameCube emulator on the AYN Loki Zero with the December 30, 2023 release. I reported this to JELOS, but I was not expecting a fix. They did respond that they were aware of the issue, but for the meantime, I just reverted back to an older build, which is the December 20, 2023. This is something to be mindful of. Always keep these two things in mind. 1. There will be bugs here and there. 2. Backing up everything periodically is absolutely essential. Okay, wrapping this up, here are my quick pros and cons list. For the pros, you have a great screen, a good battery, a good software, great performance, and Wi-Fi. For the cons, you have the middle-of-the-road build quality, the D-pads are inconsistent, the Bluetooth is a mess, and there are some random freezes and crashes here and there. Overall, the PowKiddy X55 at about $90 is a great buy. Honestly, between the Vita, the Loki Zero, and the X55, I tend to reach out for this one the most. For those looking to dip their toes in the retro handheld market, the X55 is a good starter handheld. If you are a Filipino looking to dip their toes here, there is nothing on the market currently readily available and powerful better at this price point, making this one an easier recommendation. Okay, so that's the review. If you are still here, let me know what games you would like me to test and I will try my best to test and upload them. As with all my videos, this review is not sponsored and I bought this unit for myself. Thank you so much for watching. Consider like, sharing, and subscribing if this has been useful to you. This has been Norman3000. See you next time and happy gaming!